Welcome, have a nice day. Today is Thursday, 7th of November 2024. Infant Protection Day is celebrated today. Every year on 7th of November, Infant Protection Day is observed to raise awareness about the importance of protecting, promoting, and developing infants. There is no doubt that if infants are protected, they will become the future of this world as they are the citizens of the tomorrow. From the history point of view, 7th November, Chandrasekhar Venkata Raman's birthday. C.V. Raman received the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1930 for discovering the Raman effect, in which light passing through a material is scattered and the wavelength of the scattered light changes due to an energy state transition in the material's molecules. Going towards the world news, including European Climate Agency says that this will likely to be hottest year on the record again. United States presidential election results 2024 live updates in congratulatory message to Trump. Chinese President Xi Jinping pats for China-United States cooperation. Kamala Harris concedes to Trump, says election result not what we wanted, vows to fight on. United States presidential election, Kamala Harris congratulates Donald Trump in phone call, concedes defeat. Donald Trump wins Michigan. When will Kamala Harris concede the presidential election? How to watch concession speech. Starting the newspaper analyst with a brief. The Hindu newspaper, including the implementation of OROP, attribute to armed forces. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressing the soldiers during a visit to New Ladakh. Mr. Modi noted that the scheme, a promise of the BJP before the 2014 Lok Sabha polls, was implemented on this day in 2015. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said on Thursday, November 7, 2024, that the implementation of a one rank, one pension for veterans was a significant step toward affirming the nation's gratitude to its heroes. Also, Union Cabinet approves a pending one rank, one pension revision for veterans. In post on X, Mr. Modi noted that the scheme, a promise of the BJP before the 2014 Lok Sabha polls, was implemented in this day in 2015. The Narendra Modi-led NDA government took the decision to implement OROP by issuing an order on the November 7, 2015, making its benefits effective from July 1, 2014. It would make you all happy that over the decade, likes of the pensioners and pensioner families have benefited from this landmark initiative. Beyond the numbers, OROP represents the government's commitment to the well-being of our armed forces, he said. The Prime Minister said his government will always do everything possible to strengthen the armed forces and further the welfare of those who serve the nation. Mr. Modi said the execution of the OROP was tribute to the courage and sacrifices of veterans and ex-service personnel who dedicate their lives to protecting the nation. The decision to implement OROP was a significant step towards addressing this long-standing demand and reaffirming our nation's gratitude to our heroes, Prime Minister said. Cuba left reeling after the Category 3 hurricane ravages islands and knocks out power grid. Empty streets are pictured after the landfall of Hurricane Rafael in the Havana on November 6, 2024. Hurricane Rafael knocked out power to all of Cuba on Wednesday as it made landfall on the island, still reeling from a recent blackout and previous major storm, the national power company said. Cuba is reeling after a powerful Category 3 hurricane ripped across the island and fierce winds knocked out the country's power grid. Cuba was left reeling on the Thursday, November 7, 2024, after a fierce Category 3 hurricane ripped across the island and knocked out the country's power grid. The magnitude of this impact remained unclear through the early hours of the day, but forecasts warned that Hurricane Rafael could bring life-threatening storm surges, winds, and flash floods to Cuba after ravaging parts of the Cayman Island and Jamaica. On Wednesday, November 7, 2024 evening, massive waves lashed at Havana's shore as the sharp winds and rain whipped the historic cityscape, leaving trees littered on flooded on roads. Much of the city was dark and deserted. As it plowed across the Cuba, the storm slowed to a Category 2 hurricane, chugging into the Gulf of Mexico near northern Mexico and southern Texas, according to the National Hurricane Center in Miami. Now going to the Hindustan Times newspaper states that India cancels scheduled consular camps in Canada inability to provide security. The Indian High Commission building in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada. The Indian consulate in Canada has cancelled the scheduled consular camps to issue the life certificates after the security agencies conveyed their inability to provide a minimum security protection to the organizers of the camp. The Consulate General of India, Toronto said on Thursday. In view of the security agencies conveying their inability to provide minimum security protection to the community camp organizers, Consulate has decided to cancel some of the scheduled consular camps. The Consulate General of India posted on the platform X. The announcement comes merely days after the pro-Khalistan supporters attacked members from the Hindu community when the Indian Consulate had co-organized a consular camp outside the Hindu Sabha temple in Brompton near Toronto. Why Indian Americans are breaking from the Democrats? Indian Americans, like many across the United States, are increasingly uneasy with what they perceive as the Democratic Party's fixation on the progressive social issues over pragmatic results-oriented policies. For Vice President Kamala Harris, the Indian American vote should have been a slam dunk. Her Indian heritage seemed like a natural bridge to a community with the historically strong democratic ties. But this election revealed a surprising shift in Indian American loyalties, a change that ultimately contributed to a sweeping victory for former President Donald Trump. The story of Indian American reflects what's happening across the America, reaction to what many see a democratic focus on a progressive social agendas over the practical concerns like economic stability, national security, and family values. A recent Carnegie Endowment survey starkly illustrates this changing age allegiance. From 2020 to 2024, the percentage of the Indian American identifying as Democrats dropped from 56% to 47%, while support for Trump surged from 22% to 31%. This shift is particularly pronounced among younger Indian American men who might have been expected to rally around the Harris's candidacy. Instead, they are leading a generational realignment, pushing back against the democratic policies they feel have drifted from core priorities that resonate with them. Now, going towards the economy of the country from the business point of view, October CPI number is going to be very high than September month. Our Reserve Bank of India Governor Shaktikant Das changes the policy stance does not mean next step is a rate cut in the very next meeting. Shaktikant Das, RBI Governor. Sensex Nifty surged 1.1% each. IT stocks led the rally. Gains in IT companies. Stock was the result of massive buying after Donald Trump defeated Kamala Harris to return to the White House as the 47th president. In equity, markets closed stronger on the Wednesday, with the Sensex and Nifty surging by the 1.1% each, led by the rally in shares of IT companies. Big event is behind, so that itself is relief to the market. India is likely to benefit from the Trump policies, which may include a favorable supply chain shift to lower commodity prices, including crude oil, and a Benign foreign policy, said Sandeep Sikka, ED and CEO Nippon India Mutual Funds. Trump's return may fuel trade ties amid globally uncertainty in the eyeing. Over the years, the two nations have built a resilient relationship grounded in sharp aspirations for the economic advancement and technology innovation. For India, the consequences of such a policy shift could be twofold. First, certain sectors like pharmaceuticals and information technology may experience challenges. Indian generic drug manufacturers could face increased tariffs on their exports to the United States, affecting the pharmaceutical industries. Now, going to science and tech, we have the 2024 will be the world's hottest on the record, European Union scientists say. File picture of the volunteer pouring water to cool a man off during a hot day in Karachi, Pakistan. 2024 will be the first year over the 1.5 degrees Celsius hotter than pre-industrial period. Scientists said 2024 will also be the first year in which the planet is more than 1.5 degrees Celsius hotter than in the 1815 to 1900 pre-industrial period, when humans began burning fossil fuels on an industrial scale. This year is virtually certain to eclipse 2023 as the world's warmest since the records began. The European Union's Copernicus Climate Change Services (C3S) said on Thursday, November 7, 2024, the data was released ahead of the next week's United Nations Conference of Party 29 Climate Summit in Azerbaijan, where the countries will try to agree a huge increase in funding to tackle climate change. Donald Trump's victory in the United States presidential election has dampened expectation for the talks. C3S said that from January to October month, the average global temperature has been so high than that of 2024 was sure to be the world's hottest year, unless the temperature anomaly in the rest of the year plunged to near the zero. How Elon Musk's clout with the Donald Trump could enrich his companies. Musk contributed at least $119 million to pro-Trump spending group Federal records show tirelessly and touted the former president at the critical late stage of his campaign. Elon Musk's backing of Donald Trump's decisive victory for the second presidency gives the billionaire entrepreneur extraordinary influence in the business. Elon Musk's backing of Donald Trump's decisive victory for the second presidency gives the billionaire entrepreneur extraordinary influence to help his company secure favorable government treatment. Musk contributed at least $119 million into the pro-Trump spending group Federal records show and tirelessly touted the former president as the critical late stage of his campaign. Musk's politicking reflects a wider strategy to insulate his companies from regulation or enforcement and boost their government support, according to the Reuters. Interviews with the six Musk company sources familiar with his political and business dealings and two government officials who have extensive interactions with the Musk firms. The sources provided a rare view of the strategizing inside Musk's firms to take a full advantage of his deepening relationship with the Trump. Musk's business interests from the Tesla electric vehicles to SpaceX rockets and Neuralink brain chips depend heavily on the government regulation, subsidies, or policy. Osteoporosis can shorten your life. Here is how to prevent the fractures and keep bones healthy. Male doctor hands are holding on an X-ray image of broken leg with a metal plate and penis. The key to having a healthy bones for a lifetime is to take some simple preventive measures, and the earlier the better. Because there are typically no symptoms until the first fracture occurs, osteoporosis is considered as the silent disease. Some call it a silent killer. Osteoporosis is a bone disease characterized by the decreased bone density and strength, leading to the fragile, brittle bones that increase the risk of the fractures, especially in the spine, hips, and wrists. The National Osteoporosis Foundation estimates that more than 10 million Americans have osteoporosis. Another 43 million have low bone mass, which is the precursor to osteoporosis. By 2030, the number of adults with the osteoporosis or low bone mass is estimated to increase by more than 30% to 71 million. RNA editing promises to go via DNA editing cart. Cells synthesize messenger RNA using instructions in the DNA and then read instructions from the later to make the functional proteins. RNA editing is in its nascent stage, yet there are already at least 11 biotechnology companies worldwide developing RNA editing methods for the range of the disease. On October 16, a biotechnology company in Massachusetts in the United States named Wave Life Sciences made headlines for becoming the first company to treat genetic condition by editing RNA at the clinical level. But for all that this is breaking through, scientists had anticipated it. The role of the RNA in a function called RNA interference, where a small RNA molecules keep a gene from being expressed, has been essential for the success of a CRISPR-Cas9 gene editing. The rapid development of mRNA vaccines during the COVID-19 pandemic exemplified the complex as well as the vital role RNAs play beyond the gene expression and regulation. Now, at the dawn of a new era in precision medicine, RNA editing has made a pitch to be at the forefront. At last, there's a famous quotation by a famous scientist of India, physician C.V. Raman, Sir Chandrasekhar Venkata Raman. November 7, that is today, is his birthday, 1888. After 21st of November 1970, known as the C.V. Raman or just Venkata Raman, was an Indian physicist known for his work in the field of light scattering using a spectrograph that he developed. And he and his student K.S. Krishnan discovered that when light traverses a transparent material, the reflected light changes its wavelength. This phenomena, a hero to unknown type of scattering of light, which they call modified scattering, was subsequently termed the Raman effect or Raman scattering. Raman received the 1930 Nobel Prize in Physics for the discovery and was the first Asian and the first non-white to receive a Nobel Prize in any branch of science. In 1917, he was appointed as the first pilot professor of the physics by Ashutosh Mukherjee at the Raj Baza Science of College under the University of Calcutta. On his first trip to Europe, seeing the Mediterranean Sea motivated him to identify the prevailing explanation for the blue color of water of the sea at the time, namely the reflected rayleigh scattering light from the sky, as being incorrect. He founded the Indian Journal of Physics in 1926. He moved to Bangalore in 1933 to become the first Indian director of the Indian Institute of Science. He founded the Indian Academy of Sciences in the same year. He established the Raman Research Institute in 1948, where he worked to his last days. The Raman effect was discovered on 28th of February 1928. The day is celebrated annually by the Government of India as the National Science Day, 28 February. Mr. Raman says a very famous quotation. He says that success can come to you by courageous devotion to the task lying in front of you. Okay, thank you.